phone is on, that it's on the lowest volume so you don't hear it. And then if I'm not mistaken, in the group, you can host a watch party. Let's see where the video will come up.
Okay. I'm in the group.
No one's on yet.
I'm waiting.
She's so cute. Yeah, we're definitely live. There is a delay. There's a delay of around, if you guys are listening, guys, a few people have joined. We're just still setting up. We had a couple of technical difficulties, but we must be live because it's saying 5 people are looking. So we are live. Do you see it yet in the group, Anne?
I don't see it yet.
I know, me neither. Let's go back in. Guys, can you hear us? Hey, Layla. Hi, gorgeous. Layla, can you hear me?
You're live.
Do you see it now, Anne?
Now. Yeah.
So we're trying Anne Deakter, who I admire and respect greatly and who's a dear friend of mine and has such insight. Okay, thank you, Layla. Layla says she can hear us. Oh, see, by the way, we're using again StreamYard, guys. So if you want us to be able to see your name, you have to go into StreamYard and approve that you can see the name in the comments. Hello, Anne, Layla says.
Hi,
yes,
Layla.
I can hear you. Great.
I cannot share this on my page.
So do you see, and so we're just, guys, one more minute. Sorry, we were delayed with some technical issues with StreamYard. And if you look at the video, you'll see watch this video with a group and you can say start. You can't see it on your thing?
No.
Okay, so I guess you'll be able to share it when it's over.
Yeah.
It's right, if you see it, if you go below our 2 pictures, it says watch this video with a group.
I don't have that option.
Okay, that's weird. Okay, so let's go ahead and start and you can just share it, I guess, afterwards.
I can't see the comments. It's interesting. When I click on my picture, I can see the comments coming in.
And you are in my Facebook group, right? You're not? Yeah, that's weird. I don't know why, because I could do a watch party.
Wait a second. I can. 1 second. Share to a watch party.
You found it.
Look at that.
So while Anna's setting that up, guys, I want to welcome you guys again. I just want to be really transparent that I'm still doing a lot of testing with the tribe. Again, my mission statement has really been passionate to empower on a macro level. Micro level, of course, is to really make an impact with women that have gone through a divorce, going through it, thinking about it, or have gone through it and are still trying to really discover who they are, recover, rebuild, and ultimately find true love again. So really testing different ways of doing it. And I thank you for your patience. I know I'm changing my banner every few days. I'm always testing because you are my niche audience, like, and the feedback and the comments that you share with me are so great because it helps me better hone in on my message, because I have my ideas, which you're going to hear anyway, because that's who I am. And that's what a fearless woman does. But I want to make sure I'm also talking your language. So Anne, why don't you introduce yourself to my yummy, yummy group of the Fearless Woman Tribe and tell them a little bit about your background, and then we'll just start having a fun deep dive conversation that I like to do.
Group, how are you? So yes, so we're sitting here as these fearless women trying to master all this technology. So I've got a phone going beside me, doing a watch party. I'm on StreamYard with my friend Revi, who actually lives just 2 blocks down the road, but we're virtual. So trying to figure this all out and to have a decent conversation. That'll be like, you know, multitasking to the nth degree. So I'm here with Revi because I support her mission and her purpose. I'm also a divorced woman. I divorced when my son was 3, and I left a marriage of 13 years. That was not for my highest good. At that point, I didn't see what was good about it. Only now, wow, 20-something years later, I'm remarried. I have another child. We're in a his, mine, and ours situation. He has a kid from before. I have a kid from before. We have one together. And all of my really hard wake-up calls ended up in me deciding to live my life, the life that I want, and not somebody else's life, not my ex-husband's life. We had a very profitable design firm together. I gave up the firm. I took the kid. I thought it was the greatest exchange. I still to this day know it was, but I left that relationship and had to start completely all over with a 3-year-old. So here we are. My son is now 25 years old. I walked into my new purpose. I walked into my new direction, my new career. It happened all organically. If you would have asked me back then if I could have ever conceived of the life that I live right now and what I'm doing right now, the answer is no. So I guess the message for today is also in alignment with Corona and everything that we're going through. I love this statement, and I would love to hear what you guys feel about this. Okay, you ready? You ready?
Right.
Okay. What is logical is not real, and what is illogical is real.
Wow, I love that. I love everything about that.
Okay? So think about this process of going through a divorce. What we think should be logical, what we think should be, this guy is going to do good by me, right? This guy is going to give me alimony. This guy's going to give me child support, and he's not going to fight it. He's going to want to, from the deepness of his heart, he's going to want to support his family and his wife. And right, that's the logical assumption. But it never happens that way, does it? Or for some people it does. It didn't for me. Did it for you, Ravi?
No, for sure. Well, no, I agree with you. It does. It doesn't, because we have a mindset, right? We think of how it should be, and we think how they should be, but they're never going to be how we think they should be, you know, but that's part of the divorce as well. So I think the learning element there is the release factor, that they'll never behave the way we want them to behave. They'll never be the way we want them to be. It's impossible to even think that all these things that should happen don't. And usually it's when, did you leave your husband, Anne? Did you leave him?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I find that when women, you know, when men leave, I don't know, I find when men leave, it's usually for, this is what I've seen personally. I'm not saying it.
Poll in the group. How many women were the initiators, and how many?
Yeah, I would say the bulk in the group is women, the bulk, because that's a lot of my videos, right? A lot of my videos is empowerment of the woman mindset, and empowerment that, you know, a lot of the women, we feel very restricted and in a cage and suppressed. So I talk a lot about that suppression, and that you have a choice. You know, we do hold the key to open the door and leave. So the bulk in the group is women, but there's definitely some women that the men chose to leave. And that's very painful. There's some women that a man cheated on them, you know, that can happen too. But ultimately, like you said, like even with somebody cheating on you, that's like, I was the initiator, later said. I thought he would pay and help, but as you said, it never happened. That's exactly what, you know, you're telling my story, Layla is saying.
Layla, I hear you, because here's the thing. This is the thing I want us to think about, is if we really, my God, if somebody would have told me the reality of what could possibly happen, that my set of expectations was so erroneous. I think there should be like support groups for women before they get divorced, so they know what to expect. They're like armed and dangerous. I had no idea, Rebby. I had no idea. I had no idea that I would have to get a forensic accountant. I had no idea that I would have to fight like I've never fought for anything in my life, to fight for my right to exist, to fight for my child, the well-being of my child. Everything was a battle. If somebody would have told me that I need to have, like you, a coach in line in my back pocket to go through the process, I went through this all by myself. No one in my family had ever gone through divorce.
Right. We feel very alone, very alone. Layla even said, now, if anyone told me this would happen, I would have been prepared better, for sure. But I think also what happens, Anne, with a divorce is that a lot of women, I know with me, like you never really think you're going to go through with it because it's so frightening. Like when you start thinking about divorce, you're like, you can't breathe and you're so scared. And then usually there's that trigger, like there's a trigger that just, that's it. You're like the gate out of the horse. So you just get out there and then all hell breaks loose, unfortunately.
I guess, you know, this is the beautiful thing about you and I together, Revi, is that you are more of a free spirit and I am more of a like dig my feet in. research, analyze. So I'm a seeker. That's who I am. I don't know if, you know, and not everybody is a seeker. So when I left my marriage, and even before, I started seeking and searching. I'm always looking for answers. That's me. I can't help it. It's the way I'm born. So what I even did before I got divorced is I went to a few lawyers and I interviewed them. So I was somewhat aware of what I needed to do with my finances, because I asked. And this is the thing. If there's one thing I would leave with all women today, is get support, whether it's a lawyer, whether it's a coach, whether it is this support group. It is so important to know.
For sure. I think that women do ultimately, well, some women don't, but I think the women who seek it will have that. The women who seek it have that. So the women in the group have that. The women on my TikTok, and again, I always say, like, it's amazing how when you do these things, the men don't, like, a lot of men are like, it's not me, you know, they don't seek it. So it's what you want. It's what you want. Like, you sought it, and you thought about it. Like, between you and me, and I honestly never thought I would do it.
So let's ask this question in the group. It took me, I will say, from the time that I came to an understanding that I was leaving, it took me 3 years before I did it. I want to know in the group how long it took them from the point where they subconsciously made that decision that they're leaving. How long did it take you?
Well, at least for me, while the few people that we've got, around 6 people sharing live, I know with me, for around 10 years, I wanted to leave him.
Wow.
I was oscillating back and forth, you know, the negotiating, the bartering, the you know, that you do all that because it's the denial, negotiating, bartering. Layla took her 8 years, she's saying.
8 years.
So yeah, it took me around 10 years for me. Sorry about that. It took me around 10 years. But I want to kind of just touch on something, because you said it right at the beginning, which is really interesting to me. Like, you know, at the time when you were in this marriage, and that's a recurring theme we hear a lot. 1 year for, again, I apologize, I don't know who's saying that because of the StreamYard thing. So this one person was just 1 year. That's incredible. Like, for me, it was a decade. It was a decade. You, Anne, you said around 8 years? No, how long was it for you, Anne? 8?
3 years.
3.
3, yeah. I mean, the marriage wasn't going well for a while, but I was still in that mode of, I'm going to make this work. I'm going to do whatever I can. I'm going to make therapy, retreats, whatever it was.
Everyone does. I don't think any woman just walks out. I think all women, and I would assume some men, I mean, I can't speak on behalf of the men. For my frustration was that he never heard me or listened to me, or just, he just ultimately didn't take me seriously. I have a video now on TikTok. It's been out 3 weeks. We're almost at 600,000 views after 3 weeks. And it's the video that I said how for years and years I begged, I pleaded, I screamed, I yelled, I cried, please work on the marriage, work on the marriage. And then when finally I realized it wasn't working, I've said, okay, I have to work on myself. And then I said to him, 1 year and a half for somebody else. So not long. Look at that, 1.5 years. It's interesting. And then when I finally told my husband I want a divorce, what did he say to me? I thought you would never go through with it.
Wow.
And then I was actually gearing the video to men, because I was like, to all the fearless men, like, listen up.
What about this scenario? When I asked for the divorce, my ex-husband was clueless. He didn't.
Yeah, it's shocking. It's shocking. And Layla just wrote here, how to make it better for. I begged him to work.
How do they not see it coming? So here's the thing: what is logical is real, and what is logical is not real, and what is illogical is real. So this whole process, you like to think, like, you guys, you know, in the group are still in the juice of it, right?
Well, no, some women are way past it. There's some women that are past 10 years. I'm 5 years from the day he moved out, 4 years divorced. There's some women that are at the end, like, they're not emotional about it. There's some women that are in it. There's some that are actually, you know, not like are making.
What are we talking about in the group? Who's where in their journey?
Yeah, well, we've got a few people. I mean, I see from when they answer the questions, the bulk of the women are divorced. the bulk of the women, I would say at least 70% of them, but there's 30% that they're long-term relationships. After 10 years, they broke up. Some women were only married 5 years and they're, still dealing with it a year later. Bottom line, it's always going to be recovery, rebuilding. But I want to go, this was the one thing that I really want to talk about it because I think it's so important. You mentioned that at the time, obviously, that you were divorced and then you were rebuilding your life before you got married. Like at the time, many of us are in our marriage and saying, how did we put up with this crap? Why did I tolerate this? Why did I engage in this unhappiness in this state? And then you said that now you understand why you were married. Like now you understand that. What was that pivotal, observation that you went from there to now? I'm curious to hear that.
The interesting thing is that, like I said, I had to fight for everything. I had to fight for the custody battle. I had the agreement. I had to fight for finances. Through that process, holy cow, I grew up. I became responsible. I became aware of finances. I became aware of things that I never, legal systems, how to stand for myself. This was so instrumental for turning me into a person. Like, I'll just share a funny story if I may. So my front door the lock broke for the second time. I have this door that has hurricane locks and clicks and whatever. So the lock is very intricate. So a whole week I can't get into my house. So I finally called the company and I say to them, I said, listen, I need someone to come out. And they said, well, with COVID, our workers were limited. We can come out in 2 weeks. So like I can see.
Oh, did I lose Anne? I think I lost Anne.
Oh.
Oh, there we go. And you froze on me a little bit.
Okay. So I said, that's not going to work for me. So I started standing for myself, right? And pushing. And finally he relented. And then he said to me, because this is your second call, I'm going to have to charge you $200. Okay, fine. He gets here. And then I see, what? It's not my fault. This door is 7 years old and it's broken twice. I'm not going to pay $200. I'll pay the service call, which was $100, but I'm not paying the extra $100 for parts that it's your fault that your door, since you installed it, this is the second time. So I'm sitting there and I'm standing for myself and I'm very nicely, I'm very firm. I got it for $100. But then
you got it for $100
instead of $200. I know it's maybe it's silly but I stood for myself because this is what was right and true. So
that's it. This to me is the most pivotal transformation as a fearless woman that we experience when we finally do leave, because for all those years, many of the women, even those women that the guys cheated on them, we feel that we did surrender. We feel that we acquiesced, that we contorted, that we gave our power. That's on us. Yeah. That honest, I always say, there was issues, but I know that when I broke up with my husband, I wanted to know where I was. I don't even want to say problem or, I like to say accountability, responsibility. These are powerful words. I don't want to say, where am I to blame? I don't like those words. I'm very into words,
The funny thing that happened as a result of that is like you impact others. People ask me the big portion of the work that I do is I work with a lot of women in transition after divorce, in midlife, when they're like, when they really want to know, what is my purpose? Why am I here now? Like, what's next? So wait, Revi, give me a second.
Your phone is beeping a lot.
Yeah,
I think that's what happens too. So a lot of the women, it's funny because there's some women in the group that say, I'm so lost. Not everyone says that. Some women feel completely lost and they don't know who they are, what they're supposed to do. But there's other women that are very clear of what they want, but they, again, they're like, they beat themselves a lot about, how did this happen to me? And they feel guilty, they feel bad, they feel they're not enough. Look, a couple more comments came in from another tribe member. We had problems for 3 years, but as soon as I found out he'd been cheating the entire 8 years, then he had the nerve to ask me to stay and be with his wife and keep seeing the other woman. He wants, what's the saying? He wants he wants both. Somebody else. I asked for separation so I can find myself again. So that's also, I think, what happens too. People, not all marriages end up in divorces. Sometimes there's a separation and you can go back in, because I get messages that there's some women that I say to them, is it you you're unhappy, or is the marriage making you unhappy? There is a difference. If the marriage and the union makes you unhappy, then address that. But if the guy is good, there's a lot of men out there. I see good guys. And then you see the woman doesn't, if a woman, I always say, if you don't see something, that's because you don't believe it. You're not believing something if you're not seeing it. So, I tell women, they're like, well, he's so good. He's a good father and he has a good job and he lets me do this and that. And I said, so wait a minute. Don't be so fast to think it's the marriage and getting a divorce. Those issues become you. How does somebody figure out, and you talk a lot about, lighting up your purpose and finding who you are. How do people do that?
Well, first of all, if you don't mind, I just want to go back to this, the example of you asked me, what did I learn? So the biggest thing is how to stand up for myself. And that's very much part of your platform.
Yeah.
So, and when you do that, you have to realize also, you're not just doing it for yourself. You impact everybody when you do that. You show people, your husbands, your ex-husbands, your children, your friends, your community, whoever and whatever you're connected with, what it means to live a life of purpose and in alignment with universal truths, etc. I have things going on in my house, crazy stuff.
It's okay, I have my chihuahuas, but they're not here with me today. I don't know where they are.
People are knocking on my door. Okay, I'm not going there. So here's the thing. When I did this, my husband was he got so uncomfortable with it, right? He's like, why did you do that? You made an agreement with them. And I was like, he was very uncomfortable. So what happened was he had received a product that was defective. And he looked at me and he said, you know what? I'm going to return it and I'm going to get my money back. So we don't understand that we really impact people. All right, you talk, because I got something.
Yeah, with that. I think it's important to understand. So, this talks about boundaries and standing up for who we are, right? Because I know that for most of my marriage, I never stood up for myself, and I constantly acquiesced and just, surrendered to the situation. And then towards the end of the marriage, of course, that started changing, which is when the fighting and the friction got really, really bad. And, it got really intense, because what happens when you're here with your spouse, your partner, but what happens when you start improving yourself, this is what's happening. And they want you to come down, but you don't want to go down to them, and they're not able to come up. If the guy's able to come up, then you're going to stay married. But if that doesn't happen, then you're having issues. So the boundary element and really standing up for what's important to you. And it could be as minor as, like Anne was saying, a friggin' lock that was defective, or a doorknob that didn't work. See, you think it's trivial and small, but it actually isn't. It's really, really big. I even talked about, like a month ago, I bought these dishwashing soaps during COVID for my sink. And I thought I was getting these 2 huge ones. It was like almost $30, and they were this big. They were like the trial size. And I friggin' said, hell no. Like, is it worth for me to fight back over $25 for my time? No, but it was the principle. Like, I wasn't going to be taken advantage of. And I ultimately got to keep the product, and he reimbursed me 100%. So these are all little exercises that we do for ourselves, whether it's, getting our money back for something, or disputing something on a bill of a check, or, asking for a discount, or feeling like that was too much money. When you work on these little things, what you're working on is your worth. That's really the bottom line. Everything comes down to worth, guys. Everything comes down to worth. And the fearless woman never compromises her worth, period. The fearless woman never compromises her worth, period. So whether that means you have to be vocal about it, or whether that means you have to be mental about it and make decisions about people, things, and places, at the end of the day, you are self-aware. At the end of the day, you are conscious of your environment, the people, the things, and the actions that occur, and if they serve you or not. Now, yeah, there's a parlay effect. There's a lot of women here that have said, I want to set a good example to my kids. Damn right you do, and you're doing that. So especially those with daughters, right, who have that. So you are setting that example, but do it for you first. It's again the situation with the airplane, right? It's not about you putting the mask on your child, because you can't just talk the talk. You got to walk the walk. Can't just talk the talk. You can't say. You got to walk it. I talk about don't follow the lips, follow the legs. I don't care what you say. I care what you do. I care what I do as a woman. I care what the people around me do. I don't care what you tell me. I only care what you do, because what you do is effort and energy, and it takes away from what you're doing. And if it's going to serve me and be good for me, I'm going to take it. If not, I'm going to say something about it, or maybe not say something about it, and then eliminate this person, thing, or environment from my life. Those are all choices. People think sometimes to avoid is not healthy. It's not true. To avoid something is a tool. It's a technique to protect you. I'm only interested in you serving yourself. I'm only interested in you taking care of yourself. So if something doesn't serve and you're not strong enough or able to deal with it, then remove yourself from the situation. You're allowed to do that. Everything is a choice. Nothing is forced upon you. If something does not serve you and you can't handle it, get out. I don't care if it's going for a walk, going for coffee, going to the grocery store. You don't have to sit there and engage. Standing up for yourself is so important, because when you stand up for yourself, and that's a really good point. It's funny that when Anne started talking about the beginning, I'm like, that's really important. And that is the lesson we learn from leaving our husbands, or maybe our husbands leaving us. It can work both ways. We have to be our biggest cheerleader. If I'm not going to be my biggest cheerleader, why the hell should you? How can I expect you to do what's best for me if I'm not doing what's best for me? Like attracts like. So if I'm showing up and only showing up for you, to serve you, help you, make you better, I just get lower and lower and lower. You taught me how to stand up for myself and remove myself that do not honor me. I love you, Layla. That's right. Right. And it can be it feels so good. It can be as simple as just walking out of the room. Like, you don't have to engage. You don't have to answer back. You don't have to do that. On TikTok, I get some nasty comments. Now, I could be there and go, well, what do? I block and I delete, and I'm very empowered when I do that. See, talk about controlling my emotions. I'm not going to let this toxic person get into me. I go above that and decide how I want to handle it. Now, if I do want to engage, I will. But again, it's a conscious choice. It's not visceral and emotional. It's a response, not a reaction. There's such a big difference. 2 words, guys, I'm into words. You'll see me how I am with words. There's response and there's react. Response, react is visceral. Let's go in there. Reacting is visceral. Responding means you've taken some time to think. Always hold yourself back from the emotional, visceral action and assess what you want to do. Yes, responding versus reacting. It's, again, same behavior, same procedure, same action, but done from such a different mindset. There's moments that I'm all about the gut, but there's also moments that I'm all about the brain. We need them both. This is husband and wife, gut and intellect, EQ, IQ, emotional intelligence, EQ, intellectual intelligence. You need both. I walk out or go for drives. Good for you. I'm sorry that I can't say who that is by name. I apologize. But the walking out of the room makes him mad and pushes until I break and say something. Well, you need to then get in the car and drive away. Or maybe what you need to do is you need to tell him, I need a break. This has to stop. So instead of just walking out, say, I'm not engaging in this conversation. It's too heated. I'm going to go. Leave me alone so we can both calm down and then get out. So instead of just walking out, maybe with a husband and wife, you can do that instead. And we were just talking a little bit more about how to stand up for your boundaries and not just sometimes when you stand up for yourself, when you don't stand up for yourself, rather. Sorry, guys, I hope I'm still on there. My son just called me. I got to figure out how to do. There we go. Sometimes standing up for yourself is not even about saying, give me the money, or, give me a discount, or I don't agree with this. Sometimes standing up for yourself is just by removing yourself from the situation.
Absolutely. Setting a boundary.
That's not hiding, and that's not escaping, and that's not avoiding. I hate words like that. I can't stand words like that. That's a very empowered feeling. A question to Anne. On a spiritual or energy level, what should you do to find your purpose after divorce? What do you think?
So first, I mean, the most important thing on a spiritual level is to know what your tikkun is, to know what.
You got to explain what tikkun is.
So tikkun is an ancient Hebrew word that means to fix. So each one of us are born with things we need to fix. So for me, for example, it was learning how to stand up for myself, because that then connects me to my higher self, which is the keeper, which is the place of all the knowledge and wisdom of what my purpose is. So you need to create the bridge. And the first way to create that bridge to your higher self, which is the storehouse of everything that is your ultimate potential, by fixing the things you need to fix. So the first thing I would do with someone, I always do, is we talk about that. What do you need to fix? And it's not like fixing your bathroom, and that's not what I'm talking about. What do you need to fix about yourself? What are the things that are holding you back? Once you do that, it's like a boat that is full of barnacles underneath and can't slide cleanly through the water because there's too much drag on it. You got to get rid of the garbage. You got to get rid of
Layla's asking, how do you know what to fix?
Okay, so here's the thing. This is what I love to tell people to do. Go watch the movie Groundhog Day. Watch that movie, Layla. Because in that movie, what we see is a man who is basically unconscious. He thinks that his life is great. He thinks that he can beg, borrow, and steal. There's a girl who he wants, and she wants nothing to do with him because he's a real, you know what? There's a job he wants, and he's trying to steal it away from somebody else. And he's just this real not nice guy. So what happens is he starts living one day, the same day, over and over and over again.
She's saying so many people have mentioned this movie to me.
Yes, go watch that movie and you will understand what you have to fix. Because in that movie, he goes through a metamorphosis when he realizes that, you know what, I'm not such a nice guy. I think I need to have a little bit more integrity. You know what? This girl, maybe she's not meant to be mine. And if I want her to be mine, she's really she's amazing. She's got a great heart, and she's giving, and she's loving, and she's got integrity. If I want her, then I need to raise myself to that level to earn her. So all of this stuff he starts to realize about himself, that he needs to go inside and fix himself first in order to earn to have the next level. That's where people, that's the way.
I think a big part of it too, Layla, I think this is important for you as well, is that many times we go external to search. We go out to search. We need to go in.
First place.
We need to go in. It's a very difficult concept to understand because we want to go out to feel whole. We want to go into the external world, do events, do things, date men, fall in love, blah, 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 find a job to make us complete. But that's not how it works. It actually, you have to come to terms with who you are as a human and as a woman, as a whole woman, and be complete with you without the external validation, I guess, of perfection.
And we also talk about this, Ravi, a lot, how people look outside externally because they have this gnawing empty hole within, this deep, dark place, and they think it's the external pursuits that's going to fill it. So for a short time, yes, that new pair of Louis Vuittons, yeah, it does it for me, girls, it does it for me. Okay, the new bag, the trip to the beach, the whatever it is, the vacation, yeah, the new car, it fills you up. but it's very short-term and fleeting. Like, for example, I love to tell, as a mom, I love to tell this example. You know, we go out, we get that new car, right? It's got that new car smell, and we get in the car and we say to the kids, no eating in the car. No eating in the car, right? Brand new. What, a week later? Pizza, snacks, juice boxes. It's like the newness has worn off. So the key is, where do you find that long-lasting and enduring fulfillment?
I'm going to even go deeper. Layla just now said, you know me well, and I need to look at the micro. So let's just be very clear, guys, whoever's listening to this, the micro is you. So when I talk about micro, I'm basically saying you have to go inside of yourself and look into you, because when we keep searching and yearning, it comes down to you not feeling you're enough. It comes down to you not believing and seeing that you're enough. It comes down to worth. So that's the internal work that you have to do. And, you know, talk about those barnacles at the bottom of the ship. You know, I talk about how we have these anchors in our life and from our past that, and I talk about how we have evidence to prove a theory. So when we have this gnawing open feeling that you just mentioned right now, that hole, right? It's real. That's a real thing.
That is a real thing.
Let's honor that. Okay. So we think, let's go out and go to this psychologist or this therapist and all that, and it's fine, and they'll do all these things, but no one's attacking the micro element, which is the worth, right? Because why do you feel that? Because you're missing something in you. So I always encourage people to say, where is this evidence that has validated something in you that shows you have no worth, shows that you're not good enough, shows that you don't deserve to be whole? Because that's a bunch of BS. That's a bunch of BS. But to go back there and look at these events that has given you that evidence is very, very hard, because it's your life and nobody wants to go there, right? Let's face it, we don't want to take that's not me. You know, it's something out there needs to complete me. No, actually, you need to complete yourself. And but it's really hard.
This is a lifelong journey. And this is something we need to get really clear on, is that once we make it through the first journey, the next and the next subsequent ones are easier, because we're stretching those muscles. We're working those muscles. So I was just talking with a girlfriend last night. We went for a walk. She just went through a divorce. God bless. 4 kids, was there for her family, like really traumatic, like out of left field.
Out of left field.
Yeah. Very
he left her?
I don't know all the details.
Okay, but when it's out of left field, it's always surprising when it's out of left field, though. Yeah.
Maybe it's the wrong term. I don't know, but
okay, fair enough. No worries.
Very hard for her.
Sure.
And we were talking about how like after this experience, it's like, okay, bring it on. If I can get through this, you know. And we were talking, and I was listening to her, and I was shocked to hear her say something to that effect. You know, not that, God forbid, we don't want to bring stuff on, right? No. But life is full of challenges. So once you flex those muscles, and even with my teenager, who is my second child, my first major victim of divorce. Very hard, my first child, the relationship. And
maybe next time you're on, Anne, we'll talk a little, because everyone here has kids. And I was fortunate, my kids, you know, we transitioned quite well, but I'd love your input next time you're on to talk about how a lot of the moms can deal with their kids. That's going to be a good topic.
Very challenging till this day. He's 25.
Wow.
And we were talking about, like, I said to myself, like, I say to my teenager who's 15, I say, listen, I've already gone through hell and back with one. I go, bring it on. You want to go there? I mean, really? You don't know what you're dealing with. So not, again, I don't want to bring anything on, but we grow a skin.
We do. We get, yes.
That it's almost a blessing, because when stuff comes along that could throw other people off their game, we're like, really? Like, sorry.
You know, I often say, by the way, Layla just said, filling the hole and facing yourself takes courage, because we're mostly stuck in denial, right? Because denial is easy. It's very easy to not deal with it, because it's very hard to deal with it. It's really hard.
Here's the caveat. Tell Layla, I feel like tell Layla, go through Ravi, but I know you're watching me.
No, she's watching, of course.
Okay. But here's the thing. The rules of reincarnation teach us this very clearly, that if you don't do the work now, when it's in your face, when like the whole universe is aligned to give you this wake-up call, then what's going to happen? Death does not avert it. Running away from this does not avert it. It's going to come back to you again. And when it comes back to you again, it's going to be like 10 times intensified. I can promise you, you don't want that. You don't want these wake-up calls coming back to bite you in the butt. So if you're here now and you have Revi in your back pocket, you want to deal with this now. This is the thing, is that if it gets intense, if it's getting a little hard, if it's too painful, keep pushing through it.
Right. That's the ironies of ironies. I agree. I broke the cycle of abuse for women in my family. Shame. Layla, you did.
You.
That's amazing.
And that goes into your family's DNA.
Yeah, that's karma. See, people think karma, what goes around comes around. No, karma is all your family history that keeps spreading in the lineal line. But with the one person can break it, then the forward legacy will be impacted.
I got the chills. Thanks for that, Layla. Wow.
Yeah, there's no question about it that's true. I think the other part too with the denial component is that sometimes we don't want to see the answer. I believe in healing ancestors through actions in this lifetime. Exactly. Yes. Yes, I believe in healing ancestors through actions in this lifetime.
Right.
But you got to heal yourself too. That's the other thing too. Like, we forget about ourselves. It's all about, let me fix them, let me fix him, let me help my kids, let me do that. You know, me, Anne, I'm all about me. I always bring it back to the woman. I'm like, don't forget about you.
Listen, I'm also all about me. Don't kid yourself, Revi.
Right.
I'm all about me. But
I say it in a positive way. It's not a negative thing.
Yeah,
I'm
all about balance. This is my moniker. This is my thing in life. Balance and me and balance.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the other part too, when it comes to denial, like why do you think people are afraid? Why do you think people are in denial? And like when somebody's afraid to really assess like why they have the void, why they have the hole, this real hole. I get it. I had that, you know, and I don't have it. I have never in my whole life felt so complete. It's actually intoxicating, drooling with whipped cream and ice cream and hot fudge. Like, it is so good. And that's why I was able to launch this tribe, because I'm like, I don't just talk the talk, I walk the walk. I am so passionate.
That's why you feel so good, because you're living by the universal truths, which is we are here as creators. So what are you?
Why are people in denial? Why is it there's this denial?
Okay, so here it is. This is a long conversation, okay? But I'm going to keep it to two. Okay. The denial, you've heard me speak about this before. The denial comes because there are two forces living within us. We have the good guy and we have the bad guy. The force, the bad guy, Murphy's Law, whatever you want to call him, it's the way the universe is structured, guys. It's not, don't shoot the messenger, okay? It's the way the universe is structured. So this bad guy is sitting there and it just wants to do what it wants, when it wants, how it wants, without thought or care to anybody else. Selfish. That's the selfish side of us, okay? The ego. Then you have the good guy that follows the universal truths, that wants to connect to the higher self, that is a seeker, that's all about loving, caring, and sharing. And the two are in war. They go head to head our whole life. Our whole life. So the battle is really within. And that's why we live in denial, because the bad guy wins most of the time, because that's the default setting of society. Victim, woe's me, why me? That's what feeds us. So the good guy, the voice is very quiet and silent. So that's why it's so hard to hear. The bad guy, loud. I don't want to get up this morning. I need my coffee. I need another coffee. I don't want to work out. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. Usually the bad guy's voice is all about negativity, and I don't want, and judgment. But it's very strong because it's supported by society.
Do you think when a woman confronts who she really is, it could be a negative experience?
It could be a really scary experience. It was so scary for me to walk into my power and my truth because it meant I had to leave a lot of people behind who were naysayers, who told me I can't do this. Who do you think you are? You're going to go out there and talk to people about, wow, you're crazy. Who's going to listen to you? Who's going to?
I find that it's even worse than that. I find that we create those thoughts, meaning like they're not even saying it, but we think they're saying it. We think they're saying it. And therefore we like, okay, well, no, we better not. We've already come to that conclusion. Well, they're going to say it, think it, so let me not do it. And you don't tap into really being free to the human that you are. Like,
I had something to say. I had a voice. And that voice, if I shut myself up, then I kill myself. I shut myself down bit by bit by bit until I am just a ghost of my potential. And the strength and fighting that denial comes from all the tragedies and challenges I've had in my life. So the voice where I come from is if I can help one person not have to go through a series of terrible challenges so that they wake up, because I'm sorry, no pain, no gain. That's why we're here. That's why you and I are here.
Layla just wrote, be free of the good judgment of others before the bad. You know, you can't believe what happened on TikTok, which, you know, I just love TikTok. My name is Revi and I'm addicted to TikTok. Anyway, there must be a 12-step program for TikTok addicts. I just love it because it's so raw and real. That's what I like about it. I'm all about raw and real. Like, you know, I'm showing no makeup. I did yoga this morning, but, you know, let's talk. Like, let's talk about stuff that really turns us on, which is our mind, body, and spirit. So this one woman had the nerve, the chutzpah, the audacity, the gumption, the whatever, to make a comment and say, Revi, you took the easy way out. And instead of working on your marriage, you got a divorce. And Revi and Anne, I'm loving this so much. Thank you from Layla. She's so yummy. I went, and then I'm like, Revi, don't react, respond. Like I talked about that when you stepped out to deal with whatever in your house. And what I decided to do is I didn't even, you know, on TikTok, you can actually reply with a video and show the comment on there. I'm like, I don't want to hurt her. But clearly this is something that I felt that I needed to stand up for women. And I did a video saying, you know, somebody made this comment that getting a divorce is the easy way out. Let's talk about reality. Staying in a compromised, bad, unhealthy marriage where you're suppressed and compressed and you're not happy, that's the easy way out. You know what takes strength? Talk about denial, Layla. You're not in denial. The fact that we're like, wait a minute, even you two and me, like that's what we all have in common in this group. We are so courageous to say, I can't live in denial. Au contraire, I must own my truth that this is not serving me anymore. And I've tried and I'm going to get a divorce. And then you go through hell, tsunami, typhoon, earthquake. And the word, what you even said, the word survival, you survive, you're fighting for your life. These are your words, and you said it yourself, surviving, fighting for your life.
Biggest fight of my life.
Biggest fight of your life is that divorce. It's total trauma. And people who have not gone through it or people that stay married, they're the ones that are in bad marriages. God willing, there's a lot of beautiful marriage. I would say out of the 100%, they say 50% get a divorce. The other 50, I would say a quarter of those are unhappily married, and the other quarter are thriving. I just, you know, because I have married friends and I know what they're going through, but for denial, they're not owning their truth. But it's a very complicated, like I said, it's an impossible decision. It's an impossible decision to stay in a bad marriage, and it's an impossible decision to break up a family. Which do you choose? And I honor both. And that's what I even said on that video. I said, I honor women who stay in bad marriages, and I honor women who have the balls to leave. So there is no denial. Sometimes we think there's denial, but we need to see that we're not in denial, actually. People don't see the truth, Anne. They don't see it.
They don't see it until they're
Why?
Because the default setting is to listen to the bad guy and keep the status quo. That's the default setting. Not to push yourself, not to feel pain, to follow the path of least resistance. This is human nature. It's simple. I don't want to go into it. It's simple. It's human nature to follow the path of least resistance.
What was the one lesson you shared with me? Let's wrap that. I can't believe we're almost at an hour, but I want to end. You shared one such a powerful lesson to me. Your spirituality, you know, and that you talked about the loaf of bread, the pillars and the columns and the loaf of bread. Something about the bread.
Bread of shame?
Yeah. What is that? Can you share that here? Remember we talked about that?
Oh, bread of shame is a spiritual concept that whatever you don't work for is not yours to keep. So
can you repeat that?
Whatever you don't work for is not yours to keep. So if you can look at the divorce process as an incredible opportunity to transform and grow, because when you go through that and the lessons you learn, those are yours to keep forever. So no one can take away from me my backbone.
But you also mentioned when we sat that one time in Starbucks and talked about it, you were saying that when you work so hard at something, it's almost repulsive, like when you're trying so much. I don't know, maybe we'll talk about it privately and you can do it next time. It was so powerful, and I don't remember the details, but it was the bread of shame, meaning like when women work so hard to please others and do for others and help others.
About when women live in
there was pillars.
No, this is not the pillars. This was about how women they enable others, and they think that they're giving, right? They do so much for others at the expense of their own balance, at the expense of their own fulfillment. And this actually causes major damage.
Major damage.
And this is something that women, I think, are not aware of sometimes. They think that I'm a giver. I do so much for others. How come this is happening to me? All I do is give, give, give.
Therein lies the problem.
Yeah.
That's hard for people, right? That's hard.
It's very hard to understand the intricacies of how to give in a healthy way, because you need to give with judgment. You have to.
What does that mean, give with judgment? What is that? That's not counterintuitive.
You're not fair. Let's do this next time. You are not fair. There's 5 minutes left, and I cannot answer a major, huge spiritual concept in 5 minutes. Don't do that.
So we talking about kids, because you mentioned that your son, I think she froze on me, but I'll still.
You just froze.
So, well, next on the agenda is kids that deal with divorce. I'd love your input because I was fortunate enough with mine. We need another one, please, from Layla. Absolutely. You see why I like her, right? There's something about Anne. There's something about her that I'm attracted to her. And I wanted to bring that to the group because she's got a level. I find that Anne it's a spiritual, higher power, God, whatever you want to call it, whatever your definition is. But she understands that, and she brings that. Yes, I agree, Revi. She sees that too, and I like that. And again, I have my ways. I'm a very passionate, strong woman, but I also know that I want to tap into other people's gifts and powers to help us all grow. I love the talk, so we'll definitely have Anne come back. Please feel free to follow Anne. And your Facebook page is called what? It's
Anne Shoshana Deakter.
Perfect. If you want, Anne, just post it on my group too, if people want to follow you. So she works as well with people. She does coaching. She has a Facebook page, and she's going to be working with me. And I am working on putting a mastermind group program. She's definitely going to be part of that because you see how her input is so important, really.
We're all one, Revi. There's an expression, Shivim Panim al HaTorah. There are 70 different faces of universal wisdom of the
Wow.
There are 70 different ways to find our way home.
Wow.
You have your way, I have my way, Layla has her way. Together we create a whole picture.
I love that. That's very, you know what? That's a great takeaway for today. My path may not be your path. Meaning, like, we have different ways of coming whole and becoming complete and feeling that emptiness, that void is gone.
Yeah.
But the key is to get on that journey and to be around the like-minded people that will tap into things. One thing may work for you, but something else may not. But we have to be around this in order to be complete.
Oh my God. I just did a post, surround yourself with like-minded people, because only in that space do you get the support, the acknowledgement, and the nourishment you need to keep fighting.
You know, Anne, I shared this with the group on my lives and comments. There's a lot of people, like, out of my life from being married, I think there's 4 people still in my life. I mean, my housekeeping was massive because I realized that the current theme just wasn't my husband. There was a theme in my whole life.
Correct.
And that was very empowering to do. It's all about tapping into your worth and knowing that you have worth to make these difficult decisions. Okay, guys, awesome.
I just caveat with this. I always
say
it's okay to put at a distance people who are not going to support you through this journey, but I never close the door, because you never know when your journey and the way you're standing up for what is right and true for you will trigger a reaction in the people in your world. So you keep them at a safe distance so that they can't not jeopardize you, so they can't trip you up, but you always hold a space that they'll start their journey and start moving forward in a positive.
Well said. They can go through their awareness and their awakening and want to know that they're able to come back. I love that. That's good.
Yeah, because we're all traveling in soul pods, Revi. We're all traveling together. There's a reason we're all together. Now, same thing happened between you and I. We have known each other peripherally for many, 20 years, 30 more than that. How long have we?
No, I've been to Boca, I think 17 years. But ever since I moved to Boca, we met. Yeah.
So we've known each other peripherally for 17 years, but we never really connected until our passions aligned.
Right. Yeah.
And always, I don't know about you, but I always keep the space open. So that's a perfect example of what can happen.
That's on point. That's on point. Valid. Like that a lot. That also comes from a point of forgiveness and sensitivity. I like that. Wow, Anne, I learned from you today, girlfriend. I love you. Guys, I love Anne. She's super glue here. She's part of our tribe. She's in the tribe. And we will hopefully commit to her coming again next Wednesday. You can reach out to her directly. She'll post. But she will definitely be some way, shape, or form part of my program that I'm figuring out how to create and develop. And that's it. Thanks for joining, guys.
I love her because she just, like, again, she rounds out and fills out a part of me that is more out there, that is more, I'm an introvert, believe it or not, Revi. You know that about me, right?
I didn't know that.
Yes, you do.
I guess you are.
I am more of an introvert. Revi, to me, is the side of me that would love to go out there and just throw it up in the air and just Marilyn Monroe it. And she's my secret desire to be that. So she allows me that space. So this is what it means to surround yourself with people who she's like one part of me that I feel that I can express through our connection. So look for those people, connect with those people. It's so important. So
it is
for being.
And I need to come and smooch you. I'm getting in my car. I'll drive 2 blocks and give you a big smooch.
She's making me blush.
All right, guys. Mwah. I hope we'll go live tomorrow, but I may even tone it. I'm thinking maybe even twice a week, once a week, me and maybe with Anne. I don't know. Hang in there with me. I try to communicate and be transparent, but so far I'm loving everything. Anne, thanks for your time. I'm so grateful.
Bye, all.
You all, guys. Take good care. Ciao, guys.
Bye.
Ladies, you rock from Layla. So do you, girlfriend, and so does everyone else. Ciao.